Hey there, church family. I think we can all say together that this has been quite a grind, and unless the Lord intervenes, it may continue to be a grind with us as it relates to the social distancing and our new normal with coronavirus and COVID considerations and all of that. So I want to get right to it. I think a lot of us can probably relate to these words from Psalm 84 in perhaps a new way. How lovely is your dwelling place, Lord of hosts. I long and yearn for the courts of the Lord. My heart and flesh cry out for the living God. And of course, in a New Testament sense, we are the temple of God. So it's not like God has been absent or we've been away from Him. That being said, yearning for the togetherness of our church family and God's presence is something that is very fitting, and I think we all have felt that tension. We want to connect with you about some things coming up, some expectation shaping sort of things that will help us get back together. So if you'll allow me and our team of illustrators, let's just say, to make this real for us, I would appreciate it. I'll try to keep this as short as possible, but we also want to share some good and relevant information with you as well. First of all, could go without saying, but we're going to say it anyway, that we want all that we do as a church family when we're apart or when we regather on a given week or certainly during this COVID crisis to bring glory to God. So I hope in all of our hearts and minds that's our top priority, is that how we've conducted ourselves on Facebook with our neighbors as we gather back physically. Maybe we have to go to second service, or we shift to go to first service, or we have to wait to come back to life groups, whatever that is, that the way we handle that glorifies the Lord. The second assumption that we're going into all of this with as we consider regathering is that this virus and its implications are very real. I know there are conspiracy theorists out there. I know that perhaps many of you think that this is a media ploy or a political ploy, or it's overdone and all this sort of stuff, and you're entitled to that opinion. We understand. These things are very, very real. I just saw this afternoon, for instance, a testimony from Von Miller, who is a linebacker for the Denver Broncos, who just finished battling COVID, and he said the stuff's real, so we need to respect it. Not be in fear of it, but we need to be respectful and wise. Our plan that we will share with you now is going to loosely parallel that's given by the state of Tennessee, Governor Lee's office, which takes its cues from the federal government and the CDC and all of that. Another consideration, and this is something that's a little bit awkward to say maybe, but with our church size here in Giles County, we have considerations because of the number of people that are on campus at any given time that other churches in our area simply don't. So we have friends and family who are going to smaller churches and have been for a few weeks and that sort of thing. Look, our reality is our reality, and we have to be conscientious of our demographics and our church family, of our physical space issues and those sorts of things as we prepare to get back together. So you'll see some things, some practical things that I'll outline here that have some of that in mind. But for a planning factor, we used our average, if you will, Sunday school size of about 400, life group stuff 400. Our worship space, we'd have about 550 on a given Sunday. So with those numbers, we have to consider how many services we have. We have to consider parking lots and all of that sort of flow. And we want to be safe when we get back together. We are very concerned about protecting not only the spiritual health and wellness of our church family, but the physical health and wellness. So we would especially need to be mindful of those who are 65 and older, children, those with underlying health issues, the disabled, the immunocompromised, and those sorts of folks, whether they be folks we know or in God's grace, people He will bring to our campus. So I want to say this basically every time I talk to our church family about getting back together. If you have a concern about getting back together, or if you have safety issues or health issues that you're worried about, please know that we want you to worship from home. The Lord has united us in Christ by His Spirit, and we are family in Christ with our brothers and sisters around the world. We're united here at First Baptist Pulaski, those of us who are here, and you're with us even from your living room at home. So please do not put yourself in any kind of risk by coming back earlier than you think you should. The overly conscientious Christian might think that he or she needs to be there right when the doors open, and you just don't. Please know that you need to do what you need to do for you. Our discipleship emphasis here at the church, our ministry philosophy, drives us to prioritize our small group gatherings. So our life-on-life contact, whether it's Awana or youth group or 56 Club or our life group, Sunday school class gatherings, our D groups, these sorts of things, that is our priority as a church, because we believe that's where life change happens, when we are holding each other accountable to what God's Word says and how it applies to our lives and these sorts of things. So we're not going to be in any huge hurry to open ourselves up to unnecessary risks by having the Sunday school classrooms open and getting back together for the youth and things like that until we know that we can do it safely. But please continue to invest in those relationships electronically or in your homes or whatever, and we'll explain how some of that will roll out in just a little bit. Before we get into some of the live action examples here, while our format might be changing during the on-campus service times and things like that, we will continue to provide an online presence. As a matter of fact, one of the things we're trying to put in place, in addition to our YouTube, is to have Facebook Live on Sunday mornings for those of you who are staying at home, so you can be able to connect with us that way and feel like you're present in real time. So we're working on that. All right, want to assure you with all these health concerns that health screenings are going to be given to those leading in worship, all the musicians, the instrumentalists, those of us who are sharing God's Word and that sort of thing, and those who are serving as greeters. So we will take the time to do health screenings on paper, ask some questions like they've been doing in hospitals, check temperature with non-contact thermometers and things like that. Those serving as greeters, welcome attendants, our welcome team members, ushers, people like that, those folks serving in those capacities will wear masks. If you're going to volunteer to serve in one of those ways, we're going to ask that that be part of what you do. We understand part of you have issues with feeling claustrophobic and things like that. We'll just wait till things open back up and you can serve then in some of those welcoming ways, but right now masks are expected. When nursery resumes, children are going to be health screened before being allowed to enter the rooms of other children. Our order of rooms might change around, the physical layout might change around some, so we can keep a good number of children in a given room. But any child who is going to be left in a nursery to be attended by workers will have his or her medical situation sort of screened. All right. Moving on to the next thing, we are going to have to work as a church family to minimize what we might call our choke points in the building, where hallways narrow or where people come in contact with one another, coming in and out of the bathrooms, in and out of the sanctuary, coming around corners, those sorts of things. And to help us do that so that there's not all of this congestion and cross flow of contamination, we're going to ask that you come in the south entrance. That's the one nearest the children's wing, the CB building, and all of that. Come in the south entrance, and we will come down the hallway into the sanctuary, and I'll get to the seating issues in a second. But then we will be dismissed sort of like we would do at a funeral home after a service or during Vacation Bible School or something like that, by rows and sections, beginning with those in the back with special needs or special health concerns. So please know that we'll come in the south door, go out the east doors or the front doors, except the mobility folks, mobility impaired folks, can go back out the south doors, and we'll do that in phases so we can keep each other safe. We would also ask that those of you with keys to the building not come in through other side doors, which would defeat the purpose of using those doors, because then we have contact hazards through people roaming around in the building and things like that. No food or drink should be served on campus until we reach the appropriate phase. So we would ask that you would not bring food or drink into the sanctuary, certainly, but on the church property. Worship spaces. So now I'm talking about anywhere we gather to participate in a worship service. We would ask, at least initially for this next phase, that these worship spaces will be occupied at a 50% capacity, and that there will be 6-foot spacing between family units. We intend to alternate pews, and then between services on Sunday, switch those pews so that we're not sitting in the same pews that people sat in during first service, or seats that people sat in during first service. And then we will clean them between services. Our assumption, by the way, is that because of the size of our sanctuary and all of that, we can have 200 people in the sanctuary. Once we reach 200 people in the sanctuary, the overflow will be in the fellowship hall. If we overflow the fellowship hall, we may go to the youth hall. But please be patient with us as we count numbers and escort you downstairs and things like that for the worship service. Again, this would be the first phase of us returning back. Something else that will be difficult for us is that participants, those who choose to come on campus and engage in a worship service, will be encouraged to wear masks to limit the droplet dispersion from sneezing or coughing or even singing, and be discouraged from shaking hands and hugging, that physical contact stuff. We're still trying to work out the singing issue, but we understand that the droplet dispersion is what becomes the contact hazard more than the aerosolized version of the virus. So we're working our way through that, but please be patient. Again, if you choose to come to campus, you feel comfortable with that being at church, we would ask you to wear a mask. And if you want to sing in your mask, that's great. Again, those who are helping you find your seats will be in masks. Those of us on the platform will not be, just so you can see and hear. So those are considerations there. Also, in the sanctuary, you can expect that we will not have Bibles or any other paper media in the pew racks in front of you. No guest cards or prayer request cards or any of that, because as you know, the virus can sit latent on those objects for hours or days and be transferred, so we'll be removing that. The church facilities will be cleaned between our Sunday worship events. Now, what we mean by that is that all the door handles will be wiped down, any bathroom door handles or things like that, the pew backs, all of that will be wiped down between services. Toilet seats will be wiped down, faucets will be wiped down, but then a deeper cleaning will happen during the week between Sunday worship services. So we will give attention to that. And by the way, we may put out a lifeline request to some of you later about cleaning supplies, because our cleaning supply conduit, our cleaning supplier that we get church products from is out of those. So we may need you to offer some up if you have them. We'll get back to you on that. But we will clean between services. Also, we want to assure you that if we find out that anyone who has been on campus has tested positive for the COVID virus, we will notify everyone in the church family by every means available, by text, by email, by Facebook, all of those different media. We will let you know without sharing the person's name or the people's names. And then we will probably have to take steps to close the campus and reevaluate where we are before we regather. So you can be praying with me about that we don't have that happen. But in the event that it does, we will let you know, and we will take appropriate action to make sure it's safe when people get back together. Would also like to let you know that disposable masks and touchless hand sanitizing stations have been ordered. They should be, some of them arriving on campus, as you might expect, they're backlog, but some would arrive on campus as early as mid-June, And some things we've ordered, the hand sanitizing stations, I think it is, the touchless ones, won't be here until early July. So until those things arrive, our intention is to actually have people who will manually dispense those so that any of you who would like hand sanitizer can receive it that way and not have to touch something that's been contaminated. So we can talk more about this later, given the format of how things are being communicated today. I hope you've enjoyed our presentation. Our lightheartedness is just a way to get you into what we're talking about, and I hope you sense from the measures that we're taking that we take this very seriously. I'm holding up something that is our phased reopening plan that we will post online, in addition to those things that we just shared, that I just talked about, and that the live action crew demonstrated for you. We will post these online in PDF form so you can access them and share them and these sorts of things at your earliest convenience. But here's where we are as it relates to our next target window, which would be getting together physically for what we'll call Phase 2, beginning Sunday, May the 24th. So Sunday, May the 24th would be our first week of Phase 2. Which means we have a worship capacity of 50% of the room, as I discussed. We have life groups online and off campus. We don't have any nursery for this particular Sunday in service. No preschool, no children. Limited online for Wednesday night activities. And beginning the 25th, the office will be staffed along the normal hours, Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, but it will be the door will be closed and it will be walk-up only. So you could walk up, ring the bell, get in, instead of having to call to make an appointment. And we will have limited on-campus events and limited off-campus outreaches. So again, we will publish this document online for you to look at so you can peruse the details. Want to let you know that we have been prayerful about these things. We've done our best to research the data that's published online with the CDC, with the Tennessee government agencies. We had some local contacts we've asked some things to. We've made some personal connections with Tennessee Baptist leadership and these sorts of things. And we had this Zoom call meeting to go over all these guidelines with the deacons, which they massaged some and unanimously are recommending all of this stuff to you, our church family. So we hope that that's a comfort to you. We're doing the best we can, but we ask that you would continue to pray for us. And by the way, again, if things roll back because of a plume of virus activity in our area or our state, we will follow the state guidelines for rolling back and then rolling forward. So again, we look forward to sharing more with you about how things will move ahead in the days to come and the different phases. You can access that stuff online, but I'd like to close us now, if I could, with a brief reflection on God's Word. This time is from Psalm 95. So in the vein of us gathering to worship again, come, let us shout joyfully to the Lord, shout triumphantly to the rock of our salvation. Let us enter His presence with thanksgiving. Let us shout triumphantly to Him in song. For the Lord is a great God, a great King above all gods. So we know that we're worshiping Him together even while we're apart, but we look very forward to physically rejoining each other to worship God in His presence. So thank you for your faithfulness to Him, to the kingdom work, and to ministering Christ to your neighbors, and we look forward to doing that very soon together in person. So God bless you, and in His grace we'll see you soon.